Hello, everyone. Today's story is about Amelia, a kind and thoughtful girl who discovers how small acts of kindness can inspire and change the lives of others. From helping a lonely classmate to encouraging a shy friend to follow his dreams, Amelia shows that true inspiration comes from the heart. Her journey teaches us that by believing in others and offering support, we can create a ripple effect of goodness that spreads far and wide. This story reminds us all that even simple words and actions can make a big difference. The sun was just beginning to set, painting the sky in soft shades of pink and gold, when Amelia slipped into classroom 12B. The rows of desks sat empty and silent, the only sounds the distant hum of the air conditioner and the gentle scrape of her shoes on the linoleum floor. She paused at the door, heart fluttering like a bird in a cage. Tomorrow was the community fair, a day the whole neighborhood looked forward to all year, and Amelia had agreed to stand on that little stage and speak about kindness. The very thought sent a shiver up her spine. Her fingers found the edge of her desk, tapping out an anxious rhythm. She closed her eyes and remembered the first time she felt truly heard. It was in her old school, halfway across the country, on a rainy Tuesday that seemed darker than any other day. She was 9 years old, new and shy, and she had spent the morning hiding behind her long hair, wishing she could disappear altogether. At recess, she had crept away from the other children, tears prickling her cheeks, until she reached the big oak tree at the far end of the playground. Its branches twisted high above her head, leaves whispering secrets in the wind. That's when she heard a voice. "You okay?" That small question, soft as a feather, drifted down from the branches. Amelia looked up into the face of a boy she barely knew. Just another child among many. He crouched beside her, his sneakers dusty from the playground gravel. He didn't laugh, he didn't point. He just asked with a kind tilt of his head, and in that moment, Amelia felt something inside her shift. She nodded, sniffled one small sob, and found her voice, trembling but alive. I miss my old friends," she whispered. And just like that, she began to speak, telling him about her old town, the games she used to play, and the birthday parties she had felt too shy to attend. He listened, head cocked to one side, eyes full of understanding, and when she had finished, he smiled. It was the first time someone had ever made her feel like she belonged. Amelia pressed her palm to the desktop, remembering how that gentle smile had lit up her day and would light up her life. If a single moment of compassion could change her world, she thought, what power did kindness hold on a larger scale? That question had lingered in her heart, growing into the promise she made to herself. One day, when she grew stronger, she would do the same for someone else. She took a deep breath and reached into her backpack for her notebook, the very one she had filled with her speech. The pages were covered in neat handwriting, opening lines, anecdotes, reflections on the ripple effect of kindness. In the margins, she had scribbled reminders: speak from the heart, use simple words, show emotion. Miss Clark, her drama teacher, had given her that tip. Let them feel what you feel, Miss Clark had said, smoothing Amelia's hair back gently. If you can show them your heart, they'll follow you there. Now, in the quiet of the empty classroom, Amelia studied her words once more. She pictured the faces in her audience, her parents, smiling hopefully, her classmates, a few friendly, a few bored, the neighbors from down the street, curious to see what the students had to share. She felt a flutter in her stomach, part fear, part excitement, like she stood at the edge of a diving board, toes gripping the metal. She folded the notebook shut. She would be ready. The week before the fair, Amelia had practiced every day after school. She and Ms. Clark met in the drama room, where the stage lights were bright, even in the late afternoon, and the mirrors reflected every tremor of her expression. At first, Amelia's voice cracked. Her hands shook. She stumbled over the words that came so easily in her notebook. But each time she faltered, Ms. Clark would offer a gentle correction. Pause there. Feel that feeling again. Let your hands move with your story. Over time, Amelia's voice grew steadier. The tremors eased. She found moments to giggle at her own nervous jokes about how she nearly tripped over her own feet. And Miss Clark laughed along, encouraging her to embrace the imperfections. Meanwhile, in the corridors, Amelia began to notice small changes in herself. She walked with her head held higher, smiled at teachers passing by, and even greeted strangers in the hall. Each hello felt like a brick laid in the foundation of her confidence. And the strange thing was, the more she shared her voice, the more others shared theirs. Students began to stop and chat with Amelia during lunch. She heard confessions of worries, big ones about family health, small ones about failing a math test. She listened, offered gentle words of encouragement, and realized that inspiring others often began with simply listening. One afternoon, she found herself outside, leaning against the school wall, talking to Sam, a boy who rarely spoke in class. His knees bounced nervously as he confessed his dream of acting, but also his fear that no one would like him. Amelia smiled and told him about the drama club's upcoming auditions. "You should try," she said. "What's the worst that could happen? Maybe you'll surprise yourself." Sam hesitated, then nodded. For the first time, Amelia saw a flicker of hope in his eyes. She felt a rush of excitement. Maybe she was already inspiring someone just by believing in him. The night before the fair, Amelia lay in bed, unable to sleep. The moonlight filtered through her curtains, casting silver lines across her blanket. She closed her eyes and imagined tomorrow's scene. The stage in the courtyard, the banner fluttering overhead, the chairs filled with neighbors. She pictured herself stepping up to the microphone, her heart pounding, and then taking a deep breath, remembering Kareem under the oak tree, remembering Sam's hopeful eyes, remembering the warmth of a simple hello. She opened her notebook again and wrote a new line at the top. "Inspire with your actions, uplift with your words." Satisfied, she tucked the notebook under her pillow and finally drifted off, dreamless at last. Morning arrived crisp and bright. The air smelled of cut grass and flowers. Amelia's mother knocked on the door of her room. "Time to go, sweetheart," she said, voice gentle. "I made your favorite breakfast, blueberry pancakes." Amelia slipped on her favorite blue dress, one that matched her eyes and her lucky sneakers. At the kitchen table, her dad poured syrup over the fluffy pancakes, placing a plate before her with a smile. "You'll do great," he said, ruffling her hair. Her mom squeezed her hand. "Just speak from the heart," she reminded her. Amelia nodded, swallowing hard, but inside her chest she felt a warmth, a steady glow that chased away the last threads of fear. The walk to school felt different that morning. Every sound seemed sharper. The chatter of students walking together, the laughter of children chasing a ball, the distant call of an ice cream truck. Amelia felt alive in a way she never had before. As she approached the gates, she saw her friends waving. Sam, now smiling confidently. Kareem, leaning on the school fence with his new group of friends. They cheered when they saw her. Amelia waved back, feeling a surge of pride. The courtyard was alive with color. Booths decorated in streamers, tables piled with cupcakes and lemonade, handmade art displays, and the main stage framed by banners that read "Community Fair, celebrating kindness." Volunteers bustled about, running cables, testing microphones, and placing chairs in neat rows. Amelia's palms grew slick with sweat as she stepped behind the curtain. Her heart thundered in her ears. She glanced at the first page of her speech. "Good morning, everyone." She closed her eyes, imagining her words as seeds carried on the wind, tiny kernels of hope that might land in someone's heart and grow. She heard a soft voice behind the curtain, Ms. Clark, giving her the final nod. "Go on," she whispered. "The world is listening." When the announcer called her name, Amelia felt as if every eye in the courtyard turned to her. She stepped onto the stage, the microphone cool beneath her fingers. The chatter quieted. She saw faces of all ages, toddlers in their parents' arms, teenagers leaning against booths, elders seated in front, their eyes bright with expectation. The noise of the fair faded into a hush, like the world holding its breath. "Good morning, everyone," Amelia began. Her voice was soft but clear. "Today I want to share a story about how one small act of kindness can change everything." She told them about a week ago when she saw Karam sitting alone under the old oak tree. She described the ache she felt in her chest, a tug that told her to step forward and speak. She painted the picture of his downcast eyes, the hesitant nod he gave when she said hello, and the moment his shoulders relaxed as they began to talk. She told them how, the next day, that same boy sat laughing with a group of classmates, his loneliness melted away by one simple act. As she spoke, she saw nods around the crowd. A few people leaned forward. The breeze carried her words, wrapping them around each listener. "I realized then," Amelia said, "that kindness is not just a gift we give, it's a gift we share, a chance to remind someone they are not alone." She paused, letting the words sink in. Then she shared another memory, her mother's dinner table ritual, where every evening they each named one good thing from their day. Amelia spoke of how, at first, she had grumbled at what she thought was a silly habit, but over time, it had taught her to look for light, even on cloudy days. She told them about Mrs. Alvarez, her elderly neighbor, whose garden had wilted, until Amelia and a few friends spent a joyful Saturday planting new flowers. She described the tears in Mrs. Alvarez's eyes when she saw the blooming marigolds and daisies, and how that moment had taught all of them about the beauty of working together. Amelia's voice trembled with emotion as she spoke of Sam, her quiet friend who believed he was too shy to try out for the school play. She described the gentle nudges she gave him, the hours they practiced lines together, and the pride that lit his face when he delivered his first performance. "Inspiring someone," she said, "doesn't require a grand speech or a loud voice. It starts with belief, believing in someone, even when they don't yet believe in themselves." A hush wrapped the crowd. Amelia took a steadying breath and looked out at the sea of faces. She felt her own heart swell with the same warmth she had given to others. "Today, I challenge you," she said, "to find someone who might need a friend. Ask them how they are. Listen. Offer your hand, because in that moment, you might be the reason they choose to smile again." She stepped back, the applause rolling over her like gentle waves. Tears pricked her eyes, not of fear, but of joy and relief. She had spoken from her heart, and it had carried her message across the crowd. After her speech, Amelia wandered through the fair, greeting booths and admiring the student artwork. Everywhere she looked, she saw the echoes of her words. At the gardening station, Kareem crouched beside younger children, guiding their hands as they planted sunflower seeds. He laughed with them, his face radiant. Amelia's heart lifted at the sight. Further down, she saw Mrs. Alvarez, handing out cupcakes she had baked herself, her eyes shining as she thanked each helper. And near the drama club tent, Sam stood at the edge of the stage, coaching a shy girl through her lines. his confidence a marked contrast to the boy he had been just weeks ago. Amelia realized that inspiring others was not a one-time event, it was a chain reaction. Her small pebble at the center of the pond had created ripples that spread outward, touching hearts, planting seeds, lifting spirits. And as the day melted into a golden evening, she felt a gentle pride, but more than that, she felt hopeful. If one speech, one act of courage could set all this in motion, what more could be possible? That night, back in her room, Amelia replayed the day in her mind as she watched the recording of her speech. She paused the video at Kareem's broad grin, at Mrs. Alvarez's damp eyes, at Sam's proud posture. She paused again and traced the words she had spoken, each one a testament to the power of connection. She turned off the screen and lay back on her pillow, the notebook still under her arm. She wrote one final line on the first blank page: inspire and be inspired. Then she closed her eyes, a gentle smile resting on her lips, and drifted off to sleep, dreaming of a world where every kind word kindled another, where every small gesture grew into a forest of goodwill, and where each of us, no matter how small, could be the spark that lights the way. In that dream, the sun shone bright over a playground in full bloom. Children chased butterflies between flower beds they had planted themselves. Laughter echoed down the halls of the school, and at the center of it all stood Amelia, her arms open in welcome as the ripples of her kindness spread outward in an endless dance of light and hope. And that is the story of how Amelia learned to inspire others, and how she discovered that when we uplift someone else, we also uplift ourselves. Let this story remind you that your voice matters. Every kind word you share can make someone's day a little brighter. Every small action can ripple out further than you ever dreamed. Always remember, to inspire is to plant a seed of light, and to inspire is to grow together.